and here we are to have a great discussion about the white-labeled digital AI solutions. First of all, I would like to give some general details about this session. The session is recorded, so we will be able to watch it later as well if you would like to. And in the meantime, you are able to ask your questions as well. There's a Q&A chat button on the middle of the window. And after this session, all will be answered with pleasure. But now, let's start with an introduction. So, welcome everyone again. My name is János Tóth from DataExpert. I'm serving our client as a data analyst of custom solutions and innovation team. I'm doing that for almost 4 years by now here at DataExpert. And talking about DataExpert, for those of you who don't know us, we are the largest independent operations support provider in Central Europe, with 80 plus colleagues, located in Debrecen, Hungary, in more particular ways. We completed around 7,500 projects last year. Let's say we are serving as an IT backbone of market research, with survey programming, with survey hosting, data processing, tailor-made IT development, data visualization, graphic design, marketing research, technology transition support, and last but not least, trendy business intelligence. To serve those high amount of projects a year, and that's for a catchy transition, we are working together with appreciated partners to serve our clients' needs, such as our speaker, Frank. Frank Buckler is a very well-known figure in subject of using causal machine learning for marketing and sales, and also published several books in these fields. By the way, I congratulate for the latest ones. I saw it on LinkedIn. Furthermore, he's a founder and CEO of Success Drivers. Therefore, I'm getting really interested in today's topic, which is how the agencies can stay ahead of the game with white-labeled digital AI solutions. So, with the following question, I will give you the floor, Frank. But digital AI solutions, yeah, with that said, that sounds very fancy. And AI is like a buzzword nowadays. So why do you think this is something MR agencies are looking for right now?
So thanks for the introduction, János. Thanks for having me today. So I think we will have some fun. Yeah. Sure. To your question, so I'm not only thinking, but basically we see from the demand and the feedback we get that the end client is asking for alternative ways of reporting as well as analyzing data. So the whole topic of digital transformation goes through the companies, and yeah, also beside market research, companies come with these nice do-it-yourself tools. They put some AI on it or whatever. So there is an internal ask for more agile, for solutions which are basically simple but amazingly interesting and insightful. Yeah. So, and we see that clients are asking, end clients, and when they see their market research partner they work with don't have something new or which fits into this internal need, they go to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
This basically long-term deteriorates the business for them.
I see. And regarding that buzzword which has been said, AI, some could say that it's just a hype, and traditional methods do the job as well as the AI. So what would they need to know about this?
I mean, of course, the answer is always somewhere in between. Of course, there is a hype, and there was a study that 40% of startups, AI startups, are not using AI actually. So AI is not AI, but still. So I'm basically in the field of artificial intelligence. The first hype where I jumped on it was 1993.
Well, quite early, yeah.
It was in the newspapers. AI can now predict stock market pricing. So that was quite interesting to me. So I wanted to do it too.
Yeah, I could
so
imagine
that. Where everything. So every 8 years or so it comes back, but now it's really different because beforehand there were hardly products who really sold with this label, but now it really reaches mass market.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because there is a label, because it works now, because the several things come together, the data is in place, and basically where it really drives value is that when you can see that it is more powerful, more predictive, more accurate, more valid than conventional techniques. And it is not only more valid, it's also typically more versatile. So with conventional method, you need to say, oh, does it comply to the assumption and so forth, and all those, many of those things doesn't apply to AI, which is much more versatile and thus therefore more practical.
Mm-hmm.
And all this makes it very interesting to use it. And actually, it might sound complicated, but it is actually the opposite. You don't have to program the neural network by yourself.
Yeah, I can really imagine it. And with that said, it's fancy and is getting really important these days, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
But how should I say it? Let's give the spotlight to the elephant in the room. You know, these times of COVID-19. Aren't there other topics more important, do you think? Cost savings, for instance?
So typically it's a different dimension. Actually, you can use this AI tools to to do cost savings. And the tools I brought with me today, all of them can bring big cost savings in certain circumstances, of course. But for certain customers, there are big reason for saving costs, and therefore it's not AI or digital solutions are not something. Oh, nice! Let's do some innovation. It can really be the key to achieve the actual objectives.
Yeah, so it should serve some purpose, not just labels.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. And because if you apply certain agile standardized solutions, it can be cheaper than conventional ones.
Okay. Yeah, I can live with that. But before you may show us some of your solutions you service to agencies, could you please tell me a little bit more about you and about success drivers? What is your core competency, for instance?
So Success Drivers is a provider of AI-powered insights solutions. And the name comes from the fact that we are, I think, the specialist in finding success drivers. What is a success driver? A success driver is a cause to success, right?
Yeah.
Success driver is this thing you should do be successful. And actually, this is basically what we all look for when we do research. Okay, some will just want to know, okay, are there more women than men in a target group? Maybe that's, of course, there are objectives where you just want to collect data, yeah. But businesses in general don't want to have data; they want to know what to do, yeah. And that's our core competence. We use machine learning to do a causal judgment. What drives success? So there is a methodology evolved 20 years ago, and it is improving every year. And the last developments in the last years was that we took that piece of technology and put it in a standardized way, so that basically there is no data scientist who needs to adjust it every time anew. It is basically adjusted for a certain purpose, and then it works. And this way it becomes standardized, it becomes more reasonable and scalable, basically.
Yeah.
And it works in every our solutions. Some of them you can show.
Okay, so then let's take a look at some of your tools. What is your most sold AI-powered solution, for instance?
Our main tool is, we call it SixAI. And I may show it right away, but the main need and pain point we address is that there is quite a lot of unstructured customer feedback in companies that is hardly leveraged. And we found, and you will see it later, there's so much, it's so elegant to use it actually, and there's so many advantages to use it. So there are, we recognize every other month a new application for that. But let's stick with the most common one. Wait a minute, that's the AI you saw. So basically, that's the main pain point. Companies collect text feedback, especially when they do NPS or customer satisfaction surveys. They ask, how likely are you to recommend and why? Then they get tons of and thousands of verbatims. 91% don't use that on a structured way, which is actually an assault. Yeah, imagine you are a customer, you spend time giving feedback, and they don't do nothing about it. So we make use of it. And how do we make use of it? With a two-step approach. The first approach, of course, the first step must be to somehow quantify, to categorize the text.
Yeah. So let's say code back to categories.
Yeah, you basically need to categorize. And of course, if you have thousands of feedbacks, if you do it manually, it's takes a long time, very costly. Typically, you are inconsistent because coders get tired. And if you use multiple coders, they are more inconsistent. So it's not scalable and basically not payable if you do it full manually. So you need an automized solution, but still which needs to have the same quality as if a good human would do it. So this is step one. And step two is a driver analysis. Why? Because there's an interesting fact. If you quantify what people say, you would expect that the most often mentioned topics are the most important ones, because you ask people, why did you rate this way, right? You ask why. Actually, but what you see when you measure it in a driver analysis, what's the impact of mentioning a certain topic, you will see that there is basically no no correlation between frequency and impact.
Mm-hmm.
Now, often people mention top of mind things first. Yeah, for insurance, this is an extreme example. They mention service. For speakers, they mention sound. For washing machines, they measure washing power.
Mm-hmm.
For luxury cars, they mention the price. That's top of mind. This is typically not important. It could be important, but not as important as many hidden things. Yeah, hidden, which is where you eventually are not so good at, but you should improve it. Yeah, so it is somehow hidden in this data, and you need a driver analysis approach to understand this impact, and only both together will give you a quite interesting recommendations just out of these two variables, a rating and an open end.
I see.
So basically the approach is you have the unstructured information and you have an open a rating, and it is a two-step AI approach. The first is a natural language processing AI, the second a causal AI, driver analysis. And that's basically the white label solution. This means it can have any name. Our name is SixAI, and it works with data where you have a rating and an open end to this rating, and it converts it to it comes with a dashboard, which basically then you have results in an interactive way. You can have the descriptives on the left, but you see here every bubble is a topic people mention. Reliability of performance. You can click on it and you see all the comments people are saying, so you really understand what this means. You can look back in the past. There's a management summary which mentions everything of importance. So automatically summarized the management summary. You see, for instance, this hidden reliable performance was a hidden driver. It's not so often mentioned, but very impactful.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That's also very interesting is management typically ask, what does it mean important? Does it justify my investment? That's why this dashboard comes with a simulator where you can simulate what's the impact of improving reliability of performance. So it makes it tangible. You can click and play around.
You could predict, let's say.
Yeah, actually, Sonos did that exactly this way, and they shifted investments, and 6 months later, this prediction were very close to reality. So this was convincing the C-suite very much. So
yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, that was all great. Yes, when you mentioned this text analytic and modeling, I could imagine that some people may think that I take a text analytics software because there are some on the market, and I will do a driver modeling by my own. It is really worth to white label it. What's your response? Can you share some more detail on the method itself?
Yeah, I can do so, and you will see that it's worthwhile to think twice. That's place for the whole philosophy of working with specialists in their field. So we also collaborate with guys who are the best in their jobs, and you will see that in a minute. And you see that where you see it is basically in the validity, and the validity is not just fancy numbers for statisticians to be proud of. It is needed that results make sense. What we typically see is when we talk with some enterprises who may already applied those out-of-the-box solutions, which, for instance, if you have Medallia or Qualtrics, they have key drivers and they have text analytics in there, and you can plug and play it together. And the feedback we got always, oh, we tried that, doesn't work. Because then you get these positive topics which suddenly have negative effects, and nobody will believe you anymore if this happens, right? That's where you see that validity counts, and I will give you in 2 slides a sense why this basically why here best-in-class AI is really powerful. So we have again these 2 steps: text analytics, driver analytics, but with best-in-class AI. And basically what we did is we started the same. We tried out-of-the-box unsupervised learning solutions, which are the majority of tools you can buy. You just throw in text and it will come up with clusters. And when you take this information to predict outcomes, in this case, it was 0.4 R square. And of course, we are data science. We can program ourselves. We took open source based supervised learning solutions. So this is basically where you teach the system to learn to replicate the human being. This was better, but not good enough, because with manual coding had an R square of 0.7. But then we discovered a platform. This is actually Kaplena's platform we're working with. We integrated in this solution, and for several reasons, it typically achieves a similar predictive power as well as consistency with manual coding. And as you see, conventional techniques are 0.4. You achieve 0.7, so nearly double of information which you can extract out of that. And there's a second step is the causal AI. So it's basically the step from linear regression, the driver analysis, to proper flexible causal analytics. And there are basically 2 differences. One is this is regression, right? You estimate the parameters, the more the better, and you fit it into the data. And this is typically not very realistic because data is nonlinear and there are interaction points. And machine learning is basically adapting the surface to the reality. And simulation techniques can open the black box in order to come up with a measurement. What will happen if you improve sound quality over performance or whatever? That's machine learning. It arrives with better predictive power. The second point is that it comes here with indirect effects. So a key driver analysis, a regression would here find sound quality not important. But it is basically emotional factor. So it works indirectly through sentiment. So there are topics which are purely already represented by the sentiment, and there is no direct effect, but still there's an indirect effect. So you basically miss a lot of truth, actually. So that's why the applying causal AI is 2 times better on average than conventional driver modeling. First by nonlinear and interactive modeling, and second by indirect effects.
That's really fascinating.
I think your parcel is coming, János.
Just a minute, and I will back.
So that's really Corona time. Wonderful, but that gives me the chance to tell you what does it mean double precision in text analytics and double precision in the driver modeling. It is like when you go to the doctor and one doctor has double precision in measuring your blood sample and double knowledge in diagnosing well what you need, what kind of prescriptions you need. Yeah, then you really compare a doctor on the left, which has basically are 80% wrong, and a doctor on the right, which are 80% right. And that's the difference between out-of-the-box solutions and best-of-breed solutions.
See. Okay, based on what I saw here, so it is best for ongoing customer experience or brand trackers. Am I right? So, or can it be also used for ad hoc or for qualitative studies as well?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the beauty. If you have a question and you want to be explorative, you want to have qual and quant at the same time, you just pose two questions. You don't even have to work on a questionnaire. You just field these two questions, go and proficient in the next hour. At least in the US, you have 1,000 respondents. You can process this data. So I think we are running out of time, so that's why I don't go into more details, but basically the same dashboard can be used for any kind of topics, for concept testing. So the beauty is it's agile, it's very explorative. The validity is great because it's predictive. It is a high-end drive analysis, which gives you those clues that you would not have explored out of the text data.
So let me summarize just in a bit. So it can be used for ongoing CX or brand trackers projects, and also for ad hoc and qualitative studies. Am I right? So these will need to start new studies on the fieldwork and so on. On the other hand, these times of shrinking budgets, let's say, brands and companies are very keen on better using the data they already have. Is there a solution for this?
So first of all, this solution can replace long studies with lots of questionnaires. So it can be a 2-question study. Then you can already use the data you have on stock. You don't need to survey. Often you have on stock data you already have. You just need to get better insights out of it. And then imagine all the online information. So there are many businesses who have ratings and explanations. Go on Google for workshops or whatever. There are ratings and hundreds and thousands of text to it. Take that, scrape it, run it through the analysis, and find out what drives your business.
Okay, well, that's really fascinating and sounds good to me at least. But at this point, allow me to imagine myself as a brand or company, and in these changed circumstances, what could be the first or one of the first thoughts in my mind? So, brands. There are some brands that sell much more in these times. We know that, but there's a lot of them who have a huge drop in demand. They are asking themselves that will that demand come back? Do you have a solution for this as well?
So there's one side who companies who gain a lot of new customers, and they're asking themselves, how can I keep them? They are new. And for them, you ask these 2 questions and find out what are the things what they really value or disvalue, and what I need to change to keep them. For the others, where demand dropped, they ask themselves, when does it come back? And the normal prediction systems doesn't work because this is an unprecedented situation where you cannot do time series prediction or something like that. So that's why we amended the technology with an implicit measurement, yeah, where you basically we have this survey, and János, you actually programmed it.
By the way,
where you measure the implicit the time latency of response to the question, where you can basically measure the implicit knowledge of customer, whether or not people are likely to buy in 1 or 3 or 6 months a certain product in time. And we pilot this approach. It's even public. Someone who is here to let me know. And they are predictions. It's basically put in the same framework of dashboard. It's this one where you see, okay, these are the predictions of demand for different categories. And behind that, there is again this open question, and they ask, why do you think demand will drop? Will be, and this enables you again to simulate what will happen if this is going out restrictions. If they go away, if they will be released. Yeah, you will see that demand will rise. By large.
As we are, sorry for interrupting you, but as we are briefly coming to the end of this session, I would have a last question of mine. With that said, all looks great and it can be really useful, as we saw that. And that is what I call the well-rounded portfolio, by the way. But in regards, what could MR agencies need? There are pros and cons in white labeling a solution. How would you summarize the benefits for agencies?
So of course, downside is operational costs are a little bit higher than if you do it by yourself. But on the other side, it's right now available, not in 1 year. Yeah, it is. It's a service. It's like working with your data department. It's not just a tool where you need to find ways to work with it. It's a service, so you get what you paid for in a agreed time. It's a possibility to really be fast and offer your clients something cutting edge. The internal clients are asking for. It also can save your client as well as the agency costs, because it automatically codes the text, which you may do manually. And actually, when you apply to trackers or SixAI trackers, this really keeps the loyalty of your client, because then you have something special to it where the client cannot easily switch to other suppliers as they want this analytics tool.
Yeah, that could be a way to go. All right, thank you very much, Frank, for this presentation.
Thank you for having me.
I think we should have a small Q&A section right now. So I'm turning to the audience right now. Please feel free to ask any questions may arise in the meantime with the Q&A chat button. And yeah, so as long as the audience managed to formulate and write down the question, I would ask one as well for the last time, I promise. What about multiple languages? Because you know, there could be different users from different countries, different culture, and so on.
Yeah. So from the verbatim point of view, there are we work with 130 languages. it will consolidate to one single language where the codebook works with, and as well the dashboard works with multiple languages, any languages you want. So all possible.
I see. Okay. For that, I think I lied to you a bit, because I would have the real last one question. So, for example, if I'm representing an agency, and so I would like to use one of your solutions or all of them, how should I imagine it? So will I get a meaningful dashboard at some time later when I order it, or there's a process flow I should follow, a predefined questionnaire, and what is my part?
Yeah. So the data source can be any data source, as typically this is quite versatile what companies have. But the process is you send the data, which is typically an Excel file with some columns. And typically we have some questions to it, of course, like how are the missing coded or whatever. There are a bunch of 10 questions or so we typically ask, so you can already review it beforehand. And then we do the work, and a week later you have a fully bookable dashboard which we go through together and fully equip you to be able to defend and to show it to your clients. We offer any kind of support to be that you are able to sell it and to present it well.
I see. Okay, there are no other questions, as I see, and we are really short of time.
Yeah.
So as the finish, thank you very much to be with us, Frank. I really appreciated it. And for the audience, for the participation, of course. As for a quick heads up, our webinar series next episode will be held on 28th of May. And that will be a joint webinar as well, but that time with Neighbor. And the topic will be a Cathy web tool. So stay with us that time as well. And thank you all for your time, and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye.